Welcome everyone to today's webinar, which is how to deep clean your database. So a really great topic it's still technically early on in the year, which is good. So let's have a quick look at some of our general housekeeping. So the webinar today will be approximately 20 to 30 minutes, just depending on how many questions we get. Obviously, your speakers need to be turned on to be able to hear me. And it sounds like everyone can hear me, which is fantastic. My microphone is the only microphone that's on, but you can certainly still talk to me throughout the webinar. Feel free to pop any questions in the chat box throughout. I'll also put aside a bit of time at the end for any additional questions that you have as well. All right, so let's get into it. So by the end of today's webinar, hopefully you'll understand the importance of collecting accurate client data. You'll be able to let your clients enter their own data by using our Online CIC feature. You'll be familiar with how to ensure your client details are always up to date. So what tricks you can use in our software to ensure that your client's details are regularly checked. You'll know how to check for duplicate client records and actually merge on a regular basis, which is really important once you do start getting a substantial database. And then you'll understand the key reports which you can look at monthly or quarterly, just to help you maintain your data and make sure that it is nice and clean and up to date. So first of all, why do we want to focus on collecting accurate and current data from your clients? So does anyone want to pop in the chat box why they think it's important to actually collect information from your clients? Marketing, perfect. Everyone's coming up with a very similar answer. Absolutely. And to communicate with them, Holly, absolutely. So it's obviously important to collect their information so you can communicate with them, whether that just be confirming their appointment or actually sending them some of your marketing. I know all of you work really hard on creating beautiful and effective marketing campaigns, but obviously if you don't have your clients' details or if you don't have accurate details, you're not getting a really broad reach to your client database and you're not really getting that message out there. So one of the key reasons that you do collect the information is to communicate with them, obviously. Perfect answers, everyone. So there's a few goals that you should have. One is that you want to make sure that you're confirming your client's information regularly. So most of you, I'm hoping, will be collecting some information off your clients when you first book them in or when they come in for that first appointment. But then obviously things change. You get new email addresses, you could change your phone number, you could change address. It's important to set maybe every 3 months that you just confirm with your clients that you've got the correct details. Because again, you don't want to be emailing and getting bounce backs from their old email address because they might have just updated it. You want to make sure, particularly with email addresses, that you are collecting them at every opportunity that you've got. I know collecting email addresses can sometimes be a little bit intimidating, particularly like reception staff often can sometimes feel a little bit uncomfortable asking for an email address because they feel like it's a really personal thing to ask. However, it's important to train your reception staff, therapists, stylists on the correct way to ask for an email address. So explain to the clients why you want the email address. So maybe say, we like to send you something special on your birthday via email. Would you mind giving us your email address so we can send that to you? Whereas if you just ask your clients, can we have your email address? They may think that you're going to be bombarding them with all sorts of marketing and not really understanding why they're actually giving it to you, which is really important. And then the last point, which I think is going to be a really good takeaway for everyone, is regularly checking for duplicate clients. So making sure that you're on top of who's in your database, you're merging up clients that are duplicates, because it can really affect reporting if you've got duplicate clients all over the place. It means that you're looking at your reports and perhaps not seeing a true reflection of how many of your clients are new, how many are existing, and what is your true retention. So I think there's some great goals to have, particularly surrounding collecting client data. All right, so we're going to look at some basic stuff first, which I'm hoping you all know, but obviously adding a new client, it's a pretty simple process. So you go to your main menu, clients, and hit the new button and then enter in their details. Now, usually over the phone, do most of you just collect a first name, last name, and mobile number? Does anyone like to collect anything else over the phone with that first communication with a client? No, not usually. I know some stores will often ask, oh, how did you hear about us? And occasionally we'll enter the referral method in, which is really helpful for you to assess where your clients are coming from. Oh, excellent. Bronwyn also pops the gender in as well, which is great because then you're able to really direct your marketing to the right client, because I know it can often be really frustrating. For example, I come from a beauty background. If you're emailing your male clients about female waxing services, it's probably going to frustrate them and potentially make them unsubscribe from your emails. So you do want to make sure that you are targeting towards the correct gender. So entering in that gender at the first contact is great, Bronwyn. All right, and then we've got the client card. So obviously when the client comes in, you usually collect a little bit more information from them and you start to fill out their card. You can check that you've got their surname spelt correctly, so perhaps you might need to edit that. You can enter in their mobile number, and it's really important that you do only ever enter a mobile number in the mobile field. If they've got a landline, you never know, a fax, you can enter those numbers in those extra fields there. Just make sure that mobile field is always just reserved for mobile numbers, because that's going to be used for your SMS confirmations. There's an ad hoc message area down the bottom left. Now this is just a free text field which you guys can use to enter just any additional information which maybe isn't so pertinent that it needs to be in the alert. It's not usually an allergy. It might just be maybe a little tidbit of information about maybe they're friends with another client or something like that, or they're related to somebody else. Oh, Jennifer's just popped in a question. What happens if you enter spaces into the mobile number field? Absolutely nothing. That doesn't affect the messages going out. I just by preference put spaces in there just because that's how I type a mobile number, but it doesn't matter if you do spaces or not. It will send out regardless of those spaces in there, Jennifer. All right, there's also a refreshment field down the bottom right. It has the F on it here. Does anyone actually use the refreshment field for their clients? No? Yes, wonderful. Looks like Yvonne's the only one who's using it. It's actually a really, really nice way to make your clients feel special. So this is where you enter what drink they want. So if you do offer them tea, coffee, maybe champagne or wine, you can actually write in here how they have their tea or how they have their coffee. And it's just a really nice way for when your client comes in, you can come up to them. So this client, I could go, hey, Joe, you usually have a white tea with 1 sugar, right? And she can go, yeah, of course I do. Can't believe you remembered that. It's just a nice little way to just add that personal touch to your clients. Excellent. So Bronwyn, I think, is going to start using this one. So yeah, absolutely. You can write white wine in there. Any little nice refreshment that you give them, maybe you do biscuits or something like that. Now, one thing before I move on is down the bottom right here, there's this card complete tick box. Now this is really important. I'm hoping that everyone's using this one. Yes, yes, excellent. So that card complete option is where you tick off that you've collected everything you wanted to collect. Now this can be different for everybody. Some stores just want to make sure they've got a first name, last name, mobile and email address. Others do want to collect an address or go a little bit further with genders and referral methods. But once you are happy that you've collected all the information you can, you simply tick that card complete option and hit save, and that removes that little blue eye from their appointments, meaning that you have all their information. Those blue eyes are a great way for whoever's running your reception to be able to know that they need to actually get clients to fill out further information. Okay, and then when you click on the info button, this is where you start entering more information about your clients. Now there's lots you can put in here. They're not mandatory fields depending on how you have it set up, but maybe you do want to find out about their occupation. Occupation's a good way to group together clients perhaps from local businesses. You might have a lot of tradesmen in the area, and then you may want to market specifically to that group of people. You can obviously enter in their gender, perhaps you ask their marital status, you never know, and then obviously birthday. The day and the month of birthday is particularly important for making sure those birthday campaigns go out to your clients. If you can get the year, it's really helpful because then you can obviously target your marketing towards different age groups, but getting that day and month will definitely ensure that they're receiving any birthday offers that you send out. There's obviously other areas on here, such as a preferred employee. So you'll see this is set to none auto. So when you create a new client, that's what it'll be set to. You can override that and actually select their preferred employee if they've perhaps called you and said that, hey, my friend told me to come and see Sam. Can you make sure that I always see Sam as my stylist? You could just put Sam in there. If it's set to none auto, once I've visited the same employee 3 times, it assumes they're my preferred employee and it will update that field for you. Hope that makes sense. It will also have their marketing preferences in here. If they don't wish to receive any SMS or email marketing campaigns from you, just untick this accept marketing, but they'll still get the confirmation. So this contact method further down is their appointment confirmation. So they may not wish to get SMS campaigns about any deals and specials that you've got going on. That's fine, untick accept marketing, but they'll still definitely get their appointment confirmation, which is really important. All right, any questions on the client card before we move on? No, we're all good? Perfect. All right, so let's get to the good stuff. So checking for duplicate clients. I can't even stress how important this is. Client databases can get out of control really, really quickly. Have any of you ever looked up how many clients you have in your database? It's a great feeling seeing the number, but sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating because you're looking, oh my gosh, there's 10,000, 20,000 clients. That's a lot of records to look after. So the next two steps I'm going to show you are a great way to ensure that you're actually keeping it under control. Joanne's just written that hers is out of control. Well, hopefully some of these tips I'm showing you, Joanne, will help. Particularly the next one after this slide is a great way to give it a really good cleanup and then sort of put a process in place to make sure it doesn't get to that point where it's completely a mess. So checking for duplicate clients. This one's pretty simple and I hope you all have this turned on, but definitely check this one after today's webinar. You turn this on so that every time you create a new client, if it thinks it's a duplicate, it'll prompt you then and there to actually merge them. So to switch this on, I'll just play this little video. You just go to the setup menu, you go to configuration, general down the left-hand side, then the general icon again. And you'll notice there's this tick box here that says check for duplicate clients. You want to make sure that's ticked on, and that means that it will actually check for the duplicate clients as you add new clients, as you get online bookings. I've just paused this because see this one underneath here, prompt for clients every so often. You can actually set this to maybe 90 days if you want it every 3 months. You'll get a little window that pops up just so you can confirm with the client. So when you check them out, it pops up that their details are still up to date. That's a really great feature to have switched on. Just make sure you put the correct amount of days in there. You may not want to have it set to maybe every 30 days because it might start driving everyone a bit insane with it popping up, but it's a really good one to set to maybe every 4, 6, 12 months just to make sure you are confirming that mobile numbers and email addresses haven't changed. All right, so back to the check for duplicate clients. Once that is ticked, what will happen is if you ever have a client that it believes is a duplicate, you'll get this pop up here. Does this look familiar? Wonderful. Now what's really important with this is that you actually read it. I do come across a lot of stores because you guys are so busy, they'll just hit done on this. It will keep coming up every time you deal with this client, but it's really important to choose the correct option here. So it's saying, hang on a second, you've got a client here called Amy Newman, but you've got another client called Amy Newman. Are they actually duplicates? So you've got 3 options. You can keep the client separate, because perhaps they're not duplicates. They might be like a mother-daughter with the same phone number. Merge it with the existing entry below. It will actually list more than one because maybe you might have a whole lot in there. But you just want to check it so you can be like, yep, first name's the same, surname's the same, and the exact same phone number. So I would tick option 2 on this one and hit done. That'll merge those records together so that it's keeping your database clean as you go. There is an ask me later if you don't have time to look at it right now, but I'd certainly encourage you to remind all your staff that this is a really important step and to do their best to actually take a moment to check the screen properly and choose the most appropriate option. All right, next, merging clients. This has to be probably one of my favorite features in Shortcuts. I think it's just such a good way to keep on top of things. So has anyone actually used the merging feature before? No. Oh, Holly has. All right. This is an awesome feature and I would really encourage you to put a bit of a routine in place. I reckon you should do this maybe once a week. If you do it once a week, you'll be completely on top of your database. But each week you can search for a different thing because there are all sorts of different types of duplicate clients. You may have some like our example we just saw where they're a perfect match. They're easy. You can spot those. There are others where A staff member's entered Christine with a C, and then they've added another client where it's Christine with a K. Surnames can be something where it's often hard to hear a client over the phone and they could be spelt incorrectly. So yeah, it's a really good way to do lots of different searches. Now this is something you do need to do outside of hours, just in case you do have any of the clients that you're merging in the point of sale. So you might want to schedule this maybe for a Saturday afternoon as you're closing or something like that. Really easy to use. You just go to the clients option and then go to merge. Now, if you haven't used this before, the screen is going to be blank, so you need to complete a search. So we're just going to come to this a search option down the bottom left here, and I'm just going to pause this one. So this is where you put in what you want to search for now. This could be different every single time, and I do encourage you to sort of switch it up a little bit just to make sure that you're capturing all those different types of duplicates. Now, depending on the size of your database, the first time you do this, it might sit and have a good old think, so definitely don't do this in the middle of a busy trading day, because if you haven't done this before, you might be looking at something like 500 duplicates. All right, so match on is the first thing you need to choose. What do you want to match on? One of the most common searches is what's selected at the moment, which is first name, last name, mobile, but that's going to pick up perfect duplicates like that Amy Newman that we were looking at. You may wish to just do that. The range to scan is when the client's visited. There's lots of different options in this menu and you can certainly switch it up. There's an option to perform duplicate checking on clients who were previously excluded from each other. Once you've actually run this a few times, you may untick that box because it may see a mother and a daughter as a duplicate. You've said they're not. You don't want that coming up every single time. So you can untick that box once you've done this a few times. And then you hit search once you're happy with it. So in this example, I think what we're going to do is last name and mobile because we're going to maybe perhaps pick up on those clients where the first name's been spelt incorrectly. We'll come down to this range to scan down here and we'll have a look. There's lots of different options in here. We'll look more recently at the last 0 to 3 months. And we'll leave perhaps this option ticked or unticked depending on how many times we've done this before and hit search. That was a pretty quick one. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to bring up duplicates. Now, as we can see, this is quite tidy. This one, we've only got 2, 2, 2, and another 2. You may have a category, the category being where you've got your little minus here, and there might be 5 clients underneath there because there's lots of duplicates in the system. You do need to look very carefully at this screen and make sure that you're focused because you don't want to accidentally merge clients who aren't duplicates because once they're merged, there's no way to unmerge them. So you definitely want to have a good critical eye on this when you're looking at it. Now, what you're going to see in here is you'll see obviously the names of the clients. You're going to see their details such as their phone number, address, the number of visits, their last visit and their first visit to sort of help you determine are they duplicates, which one's the master. Shortcuts is going to try and help you and choose a master for you. It chooses that master based on the last visit date. So we can see with Hannah Andrews at the top here, the top one, which is deemed as the master, has had 16 visits. And, well, the last visit date's the same for these two, but she's had 16, whereas the one underneath has only had 1. So shortcuts determine the top one to be the master. All you literally do is look at it, choose the master, click merge, and then the merged one will merge into the master. What's really important is only the card details, so that card that we looked at before that has their refreshment, their first name, last name, email address, only the master card details will be kept. If you have an example, such as this one here we've got with Charlie, where we've actually got the email address not in the master, you can just copy this up. So what it's going to show us in a second on here is if we right click on that email address, it will actually allow you to copy it to the master. You've also got the option at any point on this screen to select a client's name and then just hit card and history down the bottom if you want to just have a bit of a closer look. Another really cool thing about this is you can work on this, hit done, it'll save this and you can come back to it. So if you have a really big overwhelming list, you don't need to sit there and go through all 500 at once. You can sort of maybe get through about 100 and then come do the rest in another sitting. All right, so I think it's going to show us now how it's going to do that copy. Here we go. So if we right click on that email address, you just go copy email to master and it copies it up. So you know you're not going to lose that email address. When you finally hit merge, you get a little warning just to remind you, you shouldn't be doing this in business hours. It might take a second to merge them. It does actually close down shortcuts. So if you've got shortcuts running on more than one computer, all the computers close down temporarily and you just need to reopen shortcuts up. Depending on how many clients you're merging, if it's only a couple, it'll merge pretty quickly, so it'll close in a couple seconds. If you're merging 500, it'll probably take its time. So again, don't do this in the middle of a busy trading day because it's something that certainly takes a bit of time. So that's the merging clients feature. Is everyone excited about that one? And Joanne, I hope that's made you a little bit more confident with actually using it. You may want to put a little schedule in place. So you might say on the first Friday of the month, we're going to check first name, last name and look at people who visited 0 to 3 months. Second Friday of the month, we're going to look on just mobile number. If you ever do just mobile number, be prepared. It's going to take a while to search and it will pick up those duplicates like family members who have the same mobile number on more than one card. So particularly in that instance, just make sure you're really checking them carefully before you actually merge anyone. Anyone that you don't tick to merge on there won't merge when you hit the merge button. So you can leave clients out if you're not sure. Wonderful. I'm glad you're all excited about it. Ellie loves it. Excellent. All right, so now we're looking at Online CIC. Is anyone already utilising the Online CIC feature in their store? Yes. No? No? All right, let's talk about it. So this is great for many reasons. One of the things that I love is, as you guys know, when you hand over paper forms to clients to get their details, clients have all sorts of weird and wonderful handwriting and it's really hard for a receptionist to decipher handwriting and often they'll take a guess at an email address or something like that. And it's kind of tricky because you've got the time of the person entering the data, it may not be accurate. It's not the most ideal process. So to streamline that, we've got the Online CIC feature. So this is one of our smart products. You actually just need a device such as an iPad or a tablet or something like that is usually the best way to do this. And you literally hand your client the tablet, they type in their details, so it's far more accurate. After they've typed in their details and hit save, it syncs straight back to shortcuts. So you're not spending that additional time with a staff member actually standing there with a stack of cards and entering in all their info. At the moment, it's just their details though in these forms that we've got. All right, so I'm going to show you a quick little demo of this. It's pretty simple. It is secured with a PIN number, which is really important because you want to make sure that your client's details are secure. So let's play this one here. The staff member enters in their PIN number. It'll bring up a list of all the clients coming in today, but you can certainly search for a client or even add a new one through here. You hit hand to client to give it to a client, pretty obvious. And they fill out their details in here on the iPad. Obviously, normally they're just typing on the screen. So they can enter any updated details. They can also click on existing details and change them. Once they're done with this, they hit save. And the important thing that it does is it actually brings up the PIN screen again. So it doesn't take them back to see all the other clients who are in for the day. It basically locks it down. And as soon as they hit save, it goes straight into shortcuts. An important thing with this feature, obviously it's going to be using your Wi-Fi, so you do want to make sure that you've got a good internet connection to make sure that it is able to sync correctly with shortcuts. All right, so Martin's only works with one PIN number, so that could be specifically around the setup of it, Martin. If you want, at the end of the webinar, I'll show you where to quickly go to allow additional PIN numbers in there. It's through your console users management. All right, Bronwyn's asked a question of, do you need another license? No, so this is one of our smart products. So if you have our smart suite, which includes online booking, set and forget marketing, scorecard spotlight, you can actually probably already access the Online CIC. So when you log into your console, which is this address up the top here, you'll see this client information tile down the bottom right. Just click on that one and it'll take you straight in here. I'll also link you guys to the video I've got on setting up your Online CIC. All right, any more questions on that one before we move on to this next feature I want to quickly preview? Nope. Excellent. All right, so what you may have noticed not long ago in Online CIC, for the couple of you who are already using this, there's now a photo taking feature in here, which is very, very cool. If you're doing services that are progressive, even if they're not progressive, if you're a salon that loves to take photos of your clients, like before and after photos, if you're doing progressive skin treatments where you want to look at the improvement on their skin, tattoo removal, whatever it may be, you can actually now take photos and store them in Online CIC, and you can actually take the photo with the device, which is what makes it really cool. So if you've got an iPad, you can actually take it with the iPad. So this is just a quick preview for you guys to show you. So we're in that Online CIC screen. You simply just go to the photo button. Normally you'd have lots of photos in here, but I've just got one. Adding photos is pretty simple. You hit add photo again. You can add more than one because perhaps you've taken lots of pictures. If you're on a device, I've just done this on the computer. If you're on a device, it'll ask if you want to kick the camera. You just upload it and then it adds it in. So very, very cool. Now you can actually add notes, which is why there's this little note flag. Adding notes is simple. Click on the photo and you can add some notes in. To view previous notes, you can click on the photo and see the notes underneath it. And you can also compare. So if you go to select, you can click on as many photos as you want and actually bring them up side by side. This is an awesome feature to have to show your clients, look where you were 6 months ago and look at your skin now. Really, really cool. So that is the photo taking feature. So anyone who has access to Online CIC also has access to that photo feature. So all the photos, Holly, she's asking where they're stored, sorry. All the photos are stored securely in Online CIC. So they're all behind that PIN number that you've got. So all secure, stored up in the cloud for you. Okay. So we're kind of coming towards the end now, so key reports. So there are lots of reports in Shortcuts, but what we've been trying to do with our last few webinars is kind of just bring up a couple key reports to you, so you're all starting to get a bit of a grasp on what reports are available, and you can pick and choose which ones you're going to look at monthly, quarterly, and yearly. So I've chosen 3 key reports surrounding client information. We've got the client card accuracy report, client demographics, and then referral activity. So to access your reports, you go to the Tools menu, Reports, and these are all under the Clients category, and they're these 3 reports here. I'm just going to give you a quick look at what's actually on them. I love client card accuracy. This is a great report. You basically just open up this report and view it, and it's going to give you a graph to show you what you've actually collected from your clients. So how many clients have you got a mobile phone for? And I've got nearly 87%, which is pretty good. How many you've got email addresses for, how many you've got genders for, and it'll list them all here. So my database is terrible because apparently no cards are completed, so I'd hope that you guys are much better than me with that one. Now the cool thing about this report is not only does it sort of highlight to you any areas that you need to improve your data collection, if you hit details here, it will actually give you the names of the clients where it's not specified. So if you wanted to focus on something like email addresses, you can actually specifically have a look at the clients without email addresses. How cool is that? Right, next report is client demographics. This is a pretty simple report. It basically is just looking at the portion of your database for a specific type of demographic, whether that be the gender, the age group. You can basically have a look and see that, okay, 20% of my database is female, 4% is male, and 75% is unknown. So if I'm going to be doing gender-specific campaigns, I'm not really hitting majority of my database because there's so many unspecified clients. All right, and then referral activity. So a key figure for you guys to look at, or KPI, is really having a look at where are your clients coming from. Are your clients coming through other client referrals? Are they finding you through Facebook? Are they finding you through your website? So this report here specifically looks at the number of clients, new clients, and their referral methods, so how they found you, which is why it is really good to ask them when they first call, how did you find out about us? And then once they've visited, the value of their visit is actually counted here. So you can have a look at, due to specific referral activities, what was the value of those visits when the clients came in? So if you ever do like a specific, not marketing campaign, but maybe you've done a letterbox drop or something like that, you may want to create that as a referral activity, and then you can actually track how many clients came in because of that, and then what value did that bring to your business. So have we got, are any of you actually using any of those reports on a regular basis? Do you have any recommendations for everyone else on how regularly to run those? No one's using these ones. Oh, well, I hope I've introduced you to some new reports. I have to say, I do really love the client card accuracy report. I think that's really interesting to look at. All right, so before we get on to more questions, I thought I'd just summarise what we've gone through today. So we've obviously looked at the importance of collecting accurate client information. So I hope you're all inspired to really clean up your database and have a look at what sort of clients you've got in there. One thing we didn't really touch on too much is we didn't touch on inactivating. It is important to make sure you do inactivate clients when they're no longer relevant. Perhaps they're permanently moved overseas or something like that. You do want to keep your database as relevant as possible. You've all had a quick snippet at how to use the Online CIC to allow your clients to enter and update their own data. You hopefully will know how to ensure your client details are always up to date, how to enable, check for duplicate client records, and then the best practices for merging clients. And then we looked at a few key reports as well. All right, so I can see a few of you are already popping in questions. I'll give you all a couple minutes to pop those questions in and I'll quickly take you through the next couple slides and I'll come back to those. All right, so I wanted to remind you all, I know Juliet pointed you towards this last webinar, but for those of you who are new to attending, we've actually got a lot of educational videos up on the Shortcuts Australia YouTube channel. So I'd encourage all of you to check it out and subscribe to that so you get notifications when there's new videos. They're great to pass on to your staff. Perhaps you're getting a new coordinator starting and you want them to maybe watch 10 key videos. I've just popped in some which are kind of relevant to today's discussion. So we've got emerging clients video, so you can look back on that because using that merge tool can be a bit intimidating the first few times. We've got videos on adding new clients, entering in details, history notes, so lots of great videos up on that YouTube channel which are accessible and obviously free to you guys. We've got 2 excellent webinars coming up shortly. So the webinar for May is on time-saving appointment book tips and tricks. We'll actually be introducing 2 new features, which is our time allocation and appointment book availability icons, which some of you may have already seen. So we'll take you through that next month. And then June is a great webinar. So I know stock taking is something that can be really intimidating, particularly if you have a lot of stock. I don't think anyone look forward to stock taking their store. We're actually going to go through in June the best practices for stock taking. So how to create a stock take, successfully get through it without ripping out all your hair. Okay, and then obviously to register for those webinars, they're online now. You can register at shortcuts.com.au/webinars. And as always, all of our webinar recordings are uploaded 24 hours after we complete these webinars, so you can always watch them again, and that's just through the webinar library. Okay, so we've got a couple questions here, and I will come back to yours as well, Martin. Okay, referral activity. Jennifer's asked, is that currently on the Online CIC, sorry? Not at the moment. So that's why I recommend you try and maybe get that when they first call up. One of the reasons it's not on the Online CIC is if they were referred by another client, we want to make sure it doesn't actually take them to the client list or something like that, because obviously your client database is very private. So until that is a part of the Online CIC, I definitely recommend trying to get their referral method off them when they first call to make an appointment. All right, Martin is asking, will it slow down the computer? I'm assuming that's to do with the photos. Absolutely not. That's all done online, separate from your Shortcut system. So it doesn't store the photos within Shortcut, so absolutely will not slow down your computer whatsoever. And it doesn't actually take up any storage space on your computer too, which is very important. Okay, Bronwyn's asked a question also about software updates because it doesn't look the same as the one that I showed. It may just be the theme. There are lots of colourful theme options. I know I generally have the peach theme on as it's my favourite. So that might be the reason your software may actually be up to date, Bronwyn, but I will check your version. We do have the online upgrader these days where you guys will regularly receive notifications when there's new versions to easily upgrade yourselves. But I will check that for you, Bronwyn, after we finish up the webinar, just to make sure you are on the latest version. Okay, so Kate's asked, how do we know what our PIN number is for CIC? It is the exact same PIN number that you guys use for Shortcuts, so your employee PIN number, which kind of brings us to one of the questions that Martin had before about his PIN number not always working. So I'm just going to bring that up for you guys and show you how to enable PIN numbers to work. All right, so I'm just bringing this up for you now. So I've just logged into my console. So to manage the PIN number access for CIC, just come into Site Settings. Now, if you have more than one site, just select the correct site from this drop-down box at the top. And you'll notice we've got this one here, Manage Client Card Access. So just tick on that one. And this will bring up all the employees that you currently have active in your system. So you just need to add a tick and hit save once you've ticked all the relevant employees who you want their PIN number to work in the Online CIC. So I hope that answers both Martin and Joe's question there. All right, I think I saw one about adding referral methods. Oh, that was Martin, you as well. So adding different referral types in. Great, so let me show you that really quickly. That's actually really easy to do in Shortcuts. To add additional referral methods, you may also want to deactivate old referral methods that are no longer relevant. A trick to accurately reporting on referral methods is get rid of the old ones. Your staff are less likely to choose the correct referral method if there's a list of 30. So go to Setup, Configuration, General over here on the left, and then come into Clients. And your referrals is this tab up here. So if we click on Referrals, you can simply edit existing referrals and just hit New to add in a new referral method. Excellent. So I think that's all the questions. Bronwyn, I will certainly check your version for you. I hope you've all found the webinar today really useful and you've got some great tips on how to actually utilise the merge facility and checking for duplicate clients to really clean up your databases. So thank you all so much for attending as always. I hope you all enjoy a wonderful long weekend that we have coming up and I'll talk to you all next month.